Today we're going to talk about genetics. This is something that a lot of people underplay. Often I'll say stuff like, oh, my genetics have limited me from reaching a certain amount of muscle mass, and people will say, stop making excuses, bro. It's like, no, genetics have a massive role to play with regards to building muscle. When you look at the top elite pro bodybuilders, there's two factors that make them the best in the world, the top elite level of their game. And them factors are steroids and genetics. You can take someone who hasn't got great genetics and give them more steroids than the top pro bodybuilders take, and they actually won't look anything like the top pro bodybuilders. So when you're using the top pro bodybuilders as examples of what works with regards to training or nutrition, it's kind of a silly point because the main two variables are steroids and genetics. So I wanted to do a quick video touching upon that today. I get a lot of questions and inboxes off lads where they'll send me the pictures of the physiques and say, hey, have I got good genetics or not? There's a few things we can look at to determine if you have got good genetics, but then there's also the unknown of if you've got good genetics or not, because we need to actually see how your body responds once you are training. So here is what you can look at before you start training to determine if your genetics are good or not. First off, it's your current starting point of muscle mass. Some lads, before they've even started lifting, just have a lot more muscle mass on the frame than others. I myself had nothing on my frame, yet I had mates who had crazy biceps, and they still do, despite never touching a weight. So this is something you have to look at. Do you have a good amount of muscle mass to start with? The second thing you can look at is your current natural strength and power levels and your explosiveness. So maybe you was always that kid in school who was super fast or super powerful, or maybe you was the kid who dominated sports like rugby. Maybe you was that kid who had the natural propensity for power. Propensity for power based on your proportional point of proliferation. Thirdly is your frame, also known as your structure or build. It's no secret, there was always those lads in school who were just naturally big. They had wide shoulders, slim waists, or maybe they had quite a bit of fat on them, but they were just overall big. We used to have this lad in school, he was ginger, and he was massive. He was like a big grizzly bear. And I remember he took his top off in the locker room, and he had hairs this long standing off the back of his neck. He was about 13 years old. I was like, damn, you're gonna be a beast when you're older. So taking him, for example, he's gonna have an easier time building muscle, building strength than someone like me who is naturally skinny with a smaller frame. And finally is your body fat set point level. This just means, do you struggle to gain body fat or not? You have those lads who they just look at a donut and they gain fat dead easily. Then you have those other lads who can eat and eat and eat and never gain fat. You're gonna be able to see how much muscle these lads build a lot easier because they don't gain fat. Therefore, the body fat is not covering the muscle that they're building. So by looking at these 4 points, it will allow you to determine whether your genetics are good or not before you actually start lifting. Now, here is what you can look at as you are training to determine if your genetics are good or not. So the next best way to determine what your genetics are like is to actually just see how you respond to training. Sometimes you will think that you've got bad genetics, then you start training, and after your first year, you make crazy results, and lo and behold, you actually had really good genetics. Firstly, you look around the gym and your starting level of strength is higher than most. Maybe you're training with a couple of mates right now who have similar builds to yourself, but you are significantly stronger than them. You're getting more reps than them and lifting more weight than all the other people in the gym. This is a good inclination that you might have good genetics. Secondly, you pick up the technique easier than most. So for example, your stability, your balance, your coordination. Maybe you're training with your mates and on dumbbells, they're wobbly and they're like a floppy fish, but you pick up the dumbbells and you just find it super easy and you take to the technique a lot easier. This once again is a sign that you've got good genetics or you're naturally really athletic. And then thirdly, your week to week strength progression is flying up and you're just easily adding weight and reps each week. For example, maybe your mates are only adding 1.25 kilograms each side on a barbell every 2, 3, 4 weeks. But then you notice that you're able to jump up 2.5, 5, even 10 kilograms every couple weeks. This means your body and nervous system is taken to the training really well. Here are a few examples of really good genetics. To summarise, a lot of lads believe that the genetics is completely 100% based on how they currently look, when that's not really the full picture. How you currently look can indicate what your genetics are going to be like, but you truly don't understand what your genetics are like until you start lifting and see what type of results you actually get from training.
So speaking of results, here's a little bit of a mini transformation of mine over the last few months. The left picture was from July 2024 and the picture on the right was taken in March 2025. Now I know the lighting, the pose and the angle isn't exactly the same, but but you can still see there's a pretty significant difference in my chest, my shoulders, my back, my triceps, my forearms. I mean, my muscle is pretty much non-existent on the left. And the funny thing is, when I posted this picture on my other channel, I actually got a good handful of steroid accusations. There's a lot of people out there who think that these results aren't attainable naturally, when the fact of the matter is, I have pretty average standard genetics. I don't really respond that fast to training. I build muscle pretty slow, but when you dial in your nutrition, you consume enough calories and protein, and you stick to a good, solid, proven training program, this is the baseline of what you can expect. So if you've found yourself the last couple of years sticking to the gym pretty consistently, but you seem to be responding pretty slow, this could be a sign that you don't really have the best genetics, which is still fine. You can still get results. It probably just means that you're going wrong somewhere within your training or your nutrition. But trust me, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. You can get fantastic results just like how I did. And trust me, wait until you see me at the end of the year. I will look like a completely different person. No steroids, lifetime natural, just doing things in a smart manner. So if you're fed up of spinning your wheels and wasting all this time in the gym, and you want to optimize your nutrition and your training so you can actually get results and see a difference in the mirror on a month-to-month basis, then consider joining my Apex Athlete app. It'll remove all the guesswork for you. First link in the description or the pinned comment. I look forward to seeing you inside the app, and let's smash it this year, lads. Like this video and subscribe for multiple videos every week.